We have explored less than 25% of our own ocean. The moon has been charted in more detail than the seafloor beneath the water we drink, sail across, and depend on to breathe. Scientists sent rovers to Mars before anyone reached the deepest point of the Pacific, and in the fraction we have managed to explore, we have already found things that break every model we built. 7 phenomena from the deep sea that the world's best-funded research institutions cannot explain. Among them, a sound louder than any known animal, recorded once and never heard again. A structure on the seafloor that may predate every known civilization on Earth. And a living organism that has already solved biological immortality. Each one rewrites what we thought we understood, and together, they suggest the ocean is keeping secrets we may not yet have the tools to find. In 1997, NOAA hydrophone arrays, built originally to track Soviet submarines, picked up an ultra-low frequency sound in the South Pacific that stopped researchers cold. The recording lasted just over a minute, but that was long enough for 2 separate listening stations to detect it simultaneously, stations positioned 5,000 kilometers apart. Triggering both arrays at that distance required a source producing one of the loudest sounds ever recorded in the ocean, something louder than a blue whale, louder than any submarine, louder than any known geological event on file. NOAA named it the bloop after the shape of its frequency profile on the spectrogram, and their teams spent years attempting to match it to known acoustic signatures. Earthquakes produced different patterns. Submarine volcanoes produced different patterns. Ice shelf fractures produced different patterns. Nothing matched. The agency revised its position in 2012 and suggested icequake activity off Antarctica as a possible explanation, and many researchers accepted this and moved on. The icequake hypothesis does account for some features of the recording, but here is the thing. It does not explain why the bloop has never been detected again across 27 years of continuous monitoring on the same arrays. Icequakes happen every single day. The bloop happened once, right in the comments where you are watching from. Curious to see where this reaches. On the night of January 25, 1995, the cargo ship SS Lima was crossing the Indian Ocean northwest of Somalia when the crew reported something the captain could barely put into words. Every direction, as far as the horizon, the ocean's surface glowed. Not the scattered bioluminescent flashes sailors sometimes see when a wave breaks, and not isolated patches, but a uniform, continuous blue-white light stretching to the edge of visibility, steady as a fluorescent lamp, and it held that way for hours. The captain logged it, the crew photographed it, and scientists filed it under anecdotal marine reports and left it there. That changed when researchers at the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory went back through satellite imagery from that same night and found exactly what the crew described. A glowing patch of ocean approximately 15,000 square kilometers in area, roughly the size of Connecticut, and visible from space. The likely cause is a bloom of bioluminescent bacteria called Vibrio harvei, which emits a sustained, continuous glow rather than flashes when concentrated in sufficient density. And to cover 15,000 square kilometers, the bacterial concentration required would be unlike anything ever documented anywhere in the ocean. What triggered that bloom, what conditions produced that density, and why satellite confirmation has happened only a handful of times in recorded history, none of those questions has a satisfying answer. Sailors had been reporting milky seas for at least 3 centuries before anyone believed them, and Herman Melville described one in Moby Dick. The ocean was doing this long before anyone thought to look. Off the southern tip of Yonaguni Island in Japan, at a depth between 5 and 27 meters, a diving instructor named Kihachiro Aratake found something in 1986 that has divided researchers ever since. What he discovered was a series of massive flat-topped terraces, right angles, parallel walls, and what appears to be a road, all formed from solid bedrock, with the main platform running approximately 250 meters long and 50 meters wide. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura spent 15 years diving the site before concluding the structure is man-made, dating back at least 10,000 years, which places its construction at the close of the last ice age, when sea levels sat low enough for the site to stand above water. Correct that estimate, and this becomes the oldest known human construction on Earth, predating the pyramids of Giza by 5,000 years and Stonehenge by 6,500 years. Robert Schoch of Boston University argues the opposite, that wave action over millennia caused Yonaguni's sandstone to fracture along its natural horizontal and vertical planes, producing the appearance of artificiality without any human hand involved. The argument has run for nearly 4 decades without a verdict. And yet, what nobody expected when the debate began was how difficult it would be to dismiss. Sandstone does fracture in straight lines, but it does not typically produce right angles at multiple levels simultaneously, parallel features across hundreds of meters, and what appears to be a staircase ascending to a flat platform. The ocean may simply be holding the oldest secret in human architecture, 27 meters below a surface we have sailed across for thousands of years without once looking down. If this is the kind of history you want more of, subscribing helps us keep making it. Drain the Atlantic Ocean and you would find rivers running along the bottom, not channels, not geological metaphors, but actual rivers with defined banks, with measurable currents, with rapids and waterfalls flowing beneath the water above them. Researchers from the University of Leeds discovered one in 2010 running along the floor of the Bosphorus Strait. The numbers were hard to take in at first. It carries sediment, sustains vegetation, and moves at up to 10 kilometers per hour, faster than most rivers on land. By volume, it would rank as the 6th largest river in the world if it ran above ground. Dense, salt-heavy Mediterranean water meets the lighter Black Sea water, sinks under its own weight, and flows downhill along the seafloor like a river in a valley. This one was found almost by accident during an unrelated survey. Researchers now consider similar underwater rivers likely throughout the deep ocean, some carrying cold polar water for thousands of kilometers along the seafloor in a process that helps regulate the temperature of the entire planet. Every river on every continent was mapped centuries ago, and what nobody thought to ask was how many more were flowing along the bottom of the ocean those same civilizations sailed across every day. What else do you think is down there that we simply haven't looked for yet? Write your answer in the comments. In the Strait of Messina, between Sicily and the Italian mainland, lives an organism that has done something no other living thing on Earth has managed to do. Turritopsis dohrani measures 4.5 millimeters across, and a marine biology student named Christian Sommer collected specimens in the strait in 1988 before noticing something wrong with his data. When stressed, aged, or injured, this jellyfish does not die. It reverts, transforming back into its juvenile polyp stage, biologically younger than it was before, and the cycle begins again. The process is called transdifferentiation, where fully mature specialized cells convert back into stem cells, and it can repeat an indefinite number of times, with no specimen in laboratory conditions ever observed dying of age. Cargo ships likely carried the species worldwide in their ballast water, which is why Turritopsis dohrani now turns up in oceans across the planet. A team at the University of Oviedo published a genomic analysis in 2022 identifying the precise mechanisms behind the reversal and found that the jellyfish carries twice the number of copies of DNA repair genes compared to its closest relative. That knowledge exists on paper, in a scientific journal, and the gap between that paper and a single medical application remains wider than the Atlantic. A 4.5 millimeter animal living in the water between Sicily and Italy has already built what every oncologist, gerontologist, and pharmaceutical company on Earth is currently trying to build. And it built it before humans existed. Off the coasts of Oregon and California, there are regions of ocean where the oxygen has not diminished. It has disappeared entirely. Water samples from these hypoxic zones register oxygen levels below 0.5 milliliters per liter, a threshold at which virtually nothing with a nervous system survives. The zones were first systematically documented in 2002. By 2006, they had expanded. In 2008, dead crabs and rockfish washed ashore across hundreds of kilometers of the Oregon coastline in a single event. Agricultural runoff combined with warming ocean temperatures, which reduces the water's capacity to hold dissolved oxygen, is cited most often as the cause. But the scale of the dead zones does not line up cleanly with the scale of the runoff. Hypoxic zones exist in the deep Pacific thousands of kilometers from any agricultural source. In multiple regions, the oxygen minimum zone, the layer between roughly 200 and 1,000 meters where oxygen naturally runs lowest, is expanding both vertically and horizontally at rates the models did not anticipate. The ocean is losing oxygen faster than the calculations said it should. The calculations failed not because the scientists were careless, but because something is happening in the deep ocean that the models did not account for. Scientists theorized for decades that the world's oceans should pulse together, forming a single standing wave driven by atmospheric pressure fluctuations across the entire planet. That wave would oscillate through every connected body of water simultaneously, with a period of approximately 25 hours. A single heartbeat shared by the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Southern, and the Arctic. A team from Kyoto University confirmed it in 2022, working through tidal gauge data from monitoring stations around the globe, some with records stretching back 100 years. What they found matched the physics exactly. Every ocean on Earth pulses together, in phase, on schedule. The physics does not yet address what happens to that resonance when the geometry of the ocean shifts, when ice sheets melt and sea levels climb, when entire seas warm and expand, when the shape of the basin generating the heartbeat begins to change. The resonance could be altered in ways we do not yet understand. The heartbeat of the ocean was confirmed 3 years ago, and what it means when the heartbeat changes is still an open question. 7 phenomena from the fraction of the ocean humanity has managed to reach. The bloop was recorded once and never again. The Milky Sea covered 15,000 square kilometers and was dismissed as imagination for 3 centuries. The Yonaguni Monument has been studied for nearly 4 decades without a verdict. Underwater rivers the size of the Amazon turn up by accident during unrelated surveys. A 4.5 millimeter jellyfish in the Mediterranean has solved biological immortality. The Pacific is losing oxygen faster than the models predicted, and the entire ocean pulses with a heartbeat confirmed only in 2022. 90% of the seafloor has never been directly observed. Every deep-sea expedition in history returns with organisms not in the taxonomy, structures not on the charts, sounds not in the database. The ocean is not running low on secrets. We are still building the tools we would need to find them. The people who mapped the continents did it without satellites, without sonar, and without GPS. They used rope, lead weights, and time. The seafloor beneath the ocean that those same civilizations sailed across for 10,000 years is still, in most places, as unknown as any world we have ever pointed a telescope at. We know more about the surface of Mars than about the bottom of the water we drink.